Tonight I am your moderator. I am Jana Morrison, the Executive Director of Leadership Hendricks County. And nobody told me my mic was off. Come on. So I'm excited to be here tonight. I think back, and probably for many of you, the first time you knew about candidates and elections, and I can remember being a kid walking into Southwest Junior High School with my dad when he voted.
I think
so. It's so exciting. Everybody work?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Okay. So exciting to be here tonight and to be a part of this. For those of you who don't know, Leadership Hendricks County is a local nonprofit organization that has a process of people applying to our program. We take about 30 applicants each year. And for those who don't know, applications are live right now. So please apply. The part of our program, what we want to do is educate and train local leaders in our community to continue to serve and give back. As we get started tonight, we'd like to pause for a moment. I think all of us can remember 9/11. For me, I think about I had a small infant that I was nursing, and I'm watching Good Morning America, and it comes on live when the first plane crashed. And the look on everyone's face, and then we know other planes are going down, and at the time, my brother-in-law worked at the Pentagon, and not knowing has he gotten to the office yet, and the fear that we all felt. But the love and the commitment of our country to bond together during that horrible event. And I also want to honor those who gave their life that day, those who were killed or those who chose to walk into burning buildings to help others. So please take a moment of silence with me to honor all those from 9/11. Thank you. A few notes about the format for this evening's forum. We have invited local candidates for the contested state races to speak tonight. This year's elections will be held for federal, state, and county elections. We do not have any federal or statewide candidates for tonight. We have candidates for Indiana House of Representatives District 25 and 28, and Indiana Senate Districts 24 and 35 speaking tonight. We invited candidates for Attorney General this evening, but neither candidate was able to join us. Next week, on September 18th, we will have the candidates for Hendricks County Commissioners, Districts 2 and 3, Hendricks County Council at Large, and Indiana House of Representatives, District 40. Remember, we have only invited those tonight who are running for contested seats to speak. However, all of the candidates, as you saw tonight, had the chance to have a table in the back where you can go and listen and get to meet them and greet them. We will have the candidates for each office speak separately with a short break in between. The format for tonight goes as is. Let me repeat that this will not be a debate. This is an opportunity for each candidate to speak uninterrupted. Each candidate gets 7 minutes total across 3 rounds. They will open with a 1-minute opening statement, 3 minutes to answer questions provided ahead of time or respond to other issues or candidates. Candidates may choose to address the questions or focus on a specific issue. And then finally, they have 2 to 3 minutes for closing remarks to respond to other candidates. The question for the candidates were solicited from the community, and I want to thank you all who reached out and gave us questions to ask our speakers tonight. Those questions were taken by the curators and by the sponsors and are going to be handed out tonight. The questions as submitted, you all will get a copy of after tonight. The event is being recorded. The recording will be made available on the internet, so we want to thank, again, Hendricks County Community Foundation. You will be able to find the link on their social media, their Facebook page, or also on the website. So tonight we're going to start with our State Senate, District 24. We kind of flipped a coin or had a big discussion about how we were going to start tonight. So each candidate, tonight we have Brett Clark will be opening with his comments, and then Veronica Petrill will be opening next. All right, Brett, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name, as she said, is Brett Clark, and I'm running for the Indiana State Senate in District 24. For those of you not familiar with that, that's all of the Avon School District, all of the Danville School District, the southern half of Brownsburg Schools, which is Lincoln Township, Franklin and Clay Townships, which cover parts of the Mill Creek or the Cascade School District. That includes Coatesville, Stylesville, and Amo, and then the northern 2/3 of Putnam County to our west. I served at the Hendricks County Sheriff's Office for over 33 years, with the last 8 of those as the elected sheriff, retiring from there in 2023. I want to bring an experienced public safety voice to our legislature. My focus will include issues like mental health, water policy, tax reform, and common sense. I want our effort to be solutions-driven, pragmatic, and realistic. I will not be outstudied, out-energied, or outworked. I'm happy to be here tonight, and I look forward to the discussions and the many challenges that lie ahead for all of us. Thank you.
Veronica, you now have 1 minute for your opening comment.
First, a big thank you to the Hendricks County Community Foundation for making tonight's event possible. My name is Veronica Pedrell. I'm running for Senate District 24. I'm a Hoosier by choice since 1996, and I live in Greencastle, so I'm not even in this county. I'm the daughter of a city water treatment engineer and a public school math teacher, and the parent of twin sons, both Purdue graduates. I'm the product of 17 years of public education, and after teaching in a variety of places, I'm now at DePaul University, where I've worked nearly 20 years as a faculty and staff member. I've served as city councilor in Greencastle and worked across the aisle to make progress for our city. A Republican mayor appointed me to the city's zoning board, of where I now serve as president. I'm on the board of directors for Indiana Youth Group, Putnam County Recovery Coalition as well. I'm a member of Greencastle's Rotary and 100 Women Who Care, and while I play piano for 2 different churches, I call Gobin United Methodist Church my spiritual home. I look forward to sharing more of my values with you.
Thank you, Veronica. We appreciate that. All right, next we will start with our 3 minutes to answer questions.
While I certainly consider myself a live and let live type person, and these will make more sense to you all as you see these questions, I don't think kids under 18 should be subjected to irreversible gender-affirming care. We don't allow kids to make decisions related to voting, drinking, military service, smoking, or other medical decisions until they reach adulthood, and I don't think this is different. Current Indiana law bans the majority of these procedures, and I'm not inclined to change that. I believe in common sense, and that includes, for me, protecting our kids. School funding is the next issue, by the way. A majority of our funding goes to education in our state. That's good. And yet our test scores don't really reflect this tremendous effort that we put forward to this. I believe that our parents and guardians know their own kids better than anyone else and should be given every opportunity for their family to succeed. This means choice, and I support that. I also think that our teachers are true heroes, and they're doing yeoman's work. They do a good job. They should be well paid and supported by us. The challenge, it seems to me, is that some people feel that you cannot support public schools and teachers while at the same time wanting to do choice and those vouchers and those kinds of things. I completely disagree with that philosophy and wholeheartedly believe that when we empower our parents and give them options, we can absolutely do both. Figuring out the diploma situation, which was asked in the questions, is a part of that pie. It's obviously challenging, but I am encouraged by the work that I've seen taking place. It's clear that both sides are listening and providing usable input that in the long run should give our kids some great options for the future. I'm really interested in that conversation and see what they come with, and I do support that effort. Domestic violence was the third thing. It's a tremendous challenge. It's a scourge on our society, no doubt. I've been a long-time supporter and advocate of our local efforts to curb domestic violence, especially in my career in law enforcement. The time to think that this is simply a woman's issue has passed. This is a man problem as well, and I do believe it's time for men to step up and lead by example on this issue. This is also a problem that is bigger than all of us, but I've not heard a lot of questions regarding domestic laws and changing those in our state. I do believe Indiana is strong on domestic violence. That being said, I do believe there are opportunities for us to look at the way we deal with persons who have repeatedly violated restraining and protective orders. We can revisit that in the Senate this year, in the House this year, because they brought it up before. I'm really anxious to have that discussion, and I think we can specifically nail that down. Finally, the majority of people I met with, and I knocked on thousands of doors, did not ask about the majority of these questions. You know what the most common question was? Taxation, especially as it relates to property tax. My hope is that we'll be able to use the data that we gathered over the last couple of years in Senate Bill 3 from 2023 to give us a good starting point to take a deep dive. This should give us a great place to start on tax reform, which I do believe will be one of the biggest issues of the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brett. Veronica, you have 3 minutes to discuss the answers to the questions that were presented to you prior to tonight.
Sure. I believe that every Hoosier should have the freedom to make their own private health care decisions without the heavy hand of big government getting in the way. That includes gender-affirming care, which is neither new nor experimental. I'm a transgender Hoosier, and I've been on the receiving end of affirming care for the majority of my adult life. As with all medical standards of care, gender care has evolved over the decades, and every major medical association now endorses standards that include some level of intervention with parental consent and medical care with the support of medical professionals for individuals who are in their teens. The state should leave families with gender-expansive kids alone. Freedom also includes reproductive decisions like abortion care. That's consistent with common sense Hoosier values. A poll taken just this year found that 64% of Hoosiers believe that abortion should be legal in most or all cases, and 78% believe that we should be able to vote directly through a ballot measure on Indiana's abortion policy. Let's be clear, this is not something that the current leadership in the General Assembly's supermajority has expressed any appetite to implement. Personally, I'm an advocate for Roe v. Wade standards of fetal viability, but I think it's a shame that the party currently in control of every lever of state government doesn't want Hoosiers to have a direct say on this important issue. September 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, my family suffered a miscarriage. We went to Porter County Hospital where my spouse received a D&C procedure. This is a procedure that many doctors would be reluctant to give today. Under Indiana's near-total abortion ban, we don't need pregnant Hoosiers bleeding out in hospital parking lots. We need to expand Hoosiers' health care liberties and not take them away. I'm a lifelong educator and the daughter of a public school teacher and the parent of a public school teacher. I believe that taxes that the state collects for public education should only go to schools that meet the same rigorous academic standards that the state sets for traditional public schools. Right now, it's not like that. Requiring the same standards will require the same assessments. I'm a pedagogy designer for the university. I also believe that tax dollars should never go to schools that discriminate in employment or in admissions. That's just not fair. What the Indiana General Assembly has created in its current voucher plan is a system that recreates 50s-style segregated private schools, which won't hire the lesbian guidance counselor, won't admit the LGBTQ student, and even one with special needs because private religious schools are exempt from the ADA. I think choice is great, but choices should be based in fair, equal standards.
Veronica, thank you so much. I'm going to cut you off there. You each have 2 to 3 minutes to make closing remarks. What I would like to do, because I don't want to tell you have a minute left, because I would lose my concentration. So what I'll do is I will just raise my hand to let you both know you have 1 minute left. So we're going to start. You guys have the opportunity to discuss anything you want to or to rebuttal to whatever your other opposing candidates said.
And you wanted me to go first on this one?
Yes.
Because we agreed
Yes.
that she wanted to go last.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So you ready?
Yes, you're ready.
Fine. Okay. Finally. I'm truly glad that all of you took the time to come out and visit with us. I also want to thank the groups who made this possible and brought us together. I think the fact that we're here on September 11th makes this even more important. And I say that not because of what took place on that day, the tragedy, you all remember where you were as we discussed earlier, but what came immediately after that day. And that was when we came together as a nation. People proudly displayed our flag and took the time to help others. People showed appreciation for law enforcement and first responders. They prayed and celebrated our strengths. We've come a long way since then, and unfortunately, in some ways, I don't think it's all for the better. My hope is that we can try to restore some of that and remember why we all in public service do what we do. For me, I'm raising my hand because I want to serve. I want to model hard work and lifelong learning. I want to make a difference. I want to help people. I also know that I can add to the conversations that we're going to have as a state in our legislature. I would ask that you take a look at our website. I'd like you to take a look at our Facebook page. Check out the endorsements and the amount of work that we've put into this effort over the last year and a half or so. Look at how I served as your sheriff in our community here. I would also ask that you not take any of this for granted. It is a special privilege that we have to be able to do this. So please get out and vote. Do your part as a responsible citizen and vote. And finally, I would ask for your continued support and prayers as we race toward November 5th. We've got 55 days to go, and this will be over. So please help. Let's send the sheriff to the Senate. Thank you again. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Brett. Veronica, your closing remarks.
Once again, I want to thank the Hendricks County Community Foundation for making tonight's forum possible. And I want to thank everyone assembled here for watching this forum in person or on video, because this is for you. That's why we're here. You have a choice this fall. You have a choice between my vision for strengthening Indiana's traditional public schools that most students attend, or the tired, failed education policies brought to you by 12 years of one-party supermajority control. Those have seen our third grade reading fail rate triple and our college-going rate drop from 65 to 52%. You have a choice between my vision for reclassification of domestic violence infractions to protect victims and to avoid recidivism, or just another cycle of the status quo. And you have a choice between my vision for liberty in healthcare that gives voters a direct say in Indiana's abortion law and respects the dignity of every Hoosier, including our LGBTQ plus siblings, or the same old freedom-crushing policies of a General Assembly that's fixated on scoring political points with a hard base. Please visit veronicaforindiana.com to learn more about me and my values, and please make a good choice at the ballot box this fall. Thank you.
Brett and Veronica, thank you both for being here tonight and taking the time to make a difference in Hendricks County. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you taking away from your families and all that you're doing right now, because this county is important to you, and the state and the people are important. Thank you both for being here tonight. Thank you very much, and thank you all again for being here tonight. Next, we will be hearing remarks from State Senate District 35. Jessica McCormick is unable to be here tonight, and so Cindy will be reading statements that she has presented prior to this evening. And then, Mike, you will do a 1-minute introduction, and then he will speak. So, Jessica, if you would like to go ahead and get started. Cindy, if you would like to go ahead and get started and give us
I'm not
Jessica's
Jessica,
remarks.
sorry. I'm Cindy Homan, and I'm going to read a prepared statement from Jessica McCormick. Jessica is unable to attend due to a prior commitment related to her current role as a city councilor. Specifically, she needed to be present at a crucial public safety budget meeting regarding the police and fire departments, which is essential for ensuring the allocation of resources to keep our community safe. She takes her responsibilities very seriously and remains dedicated to fulfilling the duties for which she was elected. Her commitment to effectively addressing public safety issues underscores her dedication to serving the needs of our community.
So I'm going to say thank you, Jessica, for those remarks. And thank you, Cindy, for being willing to read those. All right, Mike, when you're ready, I'm going to give you 1 minute to introduce yourself. And then we're going to do his a little bit different. He will do his comments to the questions and his closing remarks all together. When you're ready.
Let's start. Hi, I'm Mike Young, and state senator here in District 35. District 35 runs basically, if you're familiar with the west side of Indianapolis, about 34th and High School Road on the east side of 465, down through Speedway to the airport, Decatur Township, then out to Plainfield, Guilford Township, and also Liberty Township, Clayton. As a matter of fact, I come from a family of 9 kids, and I got a lot of my values growing up out here at 39 and 40. We had I guess they still call it the new housing edition. But anyway, I'm not old enough to go to a one-room schoolhouse, but I did go to a 2-room schoolhouse, actually 2 of them, one in Belleville and one in, what's the one down just east? Well, I'll think of it in a second. But anyway, it was great living out here, and great people, great values, and I enjoy being here. And I've enjoyed serving Hendricks County since 2012 when we were district. I used to be in Morgan and Johnson County, and now we're in Hendricks County since 2012.
All right, thanks, Mike. Now, if you would take the time and go ahead, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell us a little bit how you stand on the issues that were presented to you and your closing remarks.
Okay. I'm going to change one question only because there was something I think it's important. I'll talk about it first, is property taxes. During the primary, I don't know what your property taxes went up to. Over on the west side of Indianapolis in the Speedway area, our property taxes went up 48%. There are a lot of people out there who are on fixed incomes in the old part of Speedway. They lived there their lives, they reared their children there, their kids went to school, but now they got hit on a fixed income, and a lot of them are in jeopardy that they may not be able to pay for their house. And government, I understand, needs money. We have to have police and roads and schools and everything else that gives us a great society. But we also have to be mindful of our citizens and what these things do to them. I don't want to see one citizen spend their entire life in their home, pay their mortgage, and lose it because they're on fixed incomes and they can't pay their property tax. So this year I'm going to introduce 3 bills. I'll just mention one right now. And this one is in because we do have enough money for this. Every senior citizen that owns a house and they live in it, a homestead, will no longer, if the bill passes, have to pay property taxes in the state of Indiana. And for the very first time in their lives and our lives, when we get to that age of 65, we will be able to own our homes and not have to rent it from the government. And the way we pay for it, because I don't want any locals, the sheriff or councilman or anybody else, the teachers, the schools, the commissioners with the roads to lose any money. Right now, we're paying off the pre-1996 Teacher Retirement Fund, pre-1996. It was $8 billion in the hole when I came over into the Senate, and it's up to about 12 or 14 billion. Ever since about 2017, we've been paying that off by putting in $1 billion every year into the Teacher Stabilization Fund. Somewhere around 2027, 28, 29, that will be paid off. But that $1 billion that we've been using to pay for the Teachers Retirement Fund to make it solvent will now be available for other uses. And I want to use that money to make sure our senior citizens will never be in jeopardy of losing their homes. And as I said, for the first time in their lives or anybody else that turns 65, you'll actually get to own your house and not have to rent it from the government. The second item I want to talk about is education. Because if I didn't get a great education, I wouldn't be here. If it weren't for my teachers who put enough time and effort and caring into the education of me and everybody else I went to school with, I don't know where I'd be. But I know my teachers did a great job, a terrific job. They did such a good job that my daughter wanted to be a teacher, and she became one. She taught kids with disabilities. She moved out to Virginia and worked with kids that had really bad issues that were going on. A lot of them were without parents. They had emotional problems. But I know how much she put her heart into giving those kids the best education possible. And it's tough. I mean, it's tough to be a teacher anyway, just with what goes on with kids nowadays. I was so scared when I was a kid, I never did anything wrong. But times have changed. But I know my daughter, she loves every one of those kids. And she did the very best she could. And unfortunately, she wasn't making enough money to take care of her daughter, pay for her house and all that. She had to leave teaching after about 12 years. But she loved it. She loved those kids and the kids that were in her class. She made a difference in their life. Teachers are important. We need to make sure that we pay them what they're worth. And they shouldn't have to go out and get a second or third job to have to make ends meet. But when it comes to funding of education, I believe in competition. Competition is what made the United States great. Competing against one another, trying to come up with more efficient and better ways, innovative ways to teach our kids. That's what it's all about. Now, we have a lot of different ways you can, as a parent, can have your children go become educated. But I think we ought to be smart about how we do these things. There might be some things that may be available that just doesn't work. I hope no one's in virtual schools right now, but I will tell you this, virtual schools, 6% of the kids that go to virtual schools, 6%, that's their pass rate. Virtual schools, they don't help our kids. So if I got to make the decision, I wouldn't have that one, but I'd leave it up and have the other ones be available for parents to make a decision as to their child. And I guess I had 5 minutes, right? So I'll just close this way. Thank you for coming out. I wish more people were here to hear what the candidates had to say, because these elections are the most important things in your life. I hope you make a great decision, listen to what candidates have to say, and then do what's right for you, your community, and your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you both to Jessica McCormick, who was unable to be here tonight but made sure that her voice was heard, and also Michael for sharing your viewpoints to us tonight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be starting soon again. Thank you again for being here tonight. And I also want to go ahead and thank again those who are sponsoring tonight's event: the Hendricks County GOP, the Hendricks County Democrats, the Republican newspaper, and the Hendricks County Community Foundation. Ladies, thank you both for being here tonight. They have flipped a coin, and Becky Cash will be starting us off. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and then Tiffany, you will have 1 minute also. When you're ready, Becky.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Becky Cash. I think a lot of you probably already know me. I'm the current state representative for House District 25. I was elected for the first time 2 years ago. And yes, state representatives run every 2 years, but if we're doing our jobs, then hopefully we're doing those simultaneously. So House District 25 encompasses most of Zionsville, all of Whitestown, northern Brownsburg, 2 precincts in Lebanon, and some of the outskirts. And I always think it's important for people to know that Whitestown in particular splits between Zionsville schools and Lebanon schools. So even though we only have a couple precincts in Lebanon, I have 6 kids, so I always say if you give me an inch, I'll take the entire district. But we represent Zionsville, Brownsburg, Lebanon schools, several private schools, and of course any charter schools that they go to. So my husband and I have 6 children ranging in age from 12 years old to 24. Yes, you heard that right. Several of them have special and medical needs, and we've lived in the district for over 18 years. So we moved here from Illinois.
Thank you so much, Becky. Your 1 minute is up. All right, Tiffany, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you. I am so grateful to be here tonight with people that clearly care about their community and this upcoming very important election. Like my grandmother, I too saw my husband off to war. When he left for Iraq, we had 3 little kids in diapers, and the man of our house became a 6-year-old, or the 6-year-old boy became the man of the house. Make no mistake, the spouse that is left behind keeps the family together, is also providing service to the military and the country. The community that got behind us in so many ways that was unanticipated, and part of that reason is why I am standing on this stage tonight. I've worked for a large company, I own a small business, I've seen both sides, I'm a passionate volunteer and an independent thinker. So during this campaign, I have deliberately sought out leaders from both political parties. After knocking on thousands of doors, I know one thing, that Hoosiers want safe, vibrant
Tiffany,
communities.
thank you so much. That is 1 minute.
Thank you very much. So thankfully, some of the questions are topics that I'm very passionate about. So education and property taxes are the 2 topics that I currently get asked about most at the door, everywhere I go. I ran for office with a commitment to not increasing taxes and looking for ways to hold government accountable for spending. I also do believe that Hoosiers are overtaxed in many areas. We can debate all we want, but the bottom line is that constituents of House District 25 and throughout this state are paying property taxes at an unsustainable level. We have residents who have lived in their homes for decades and are on the verge of losing their properties, having to sell or choose to put food on their table. We all understand that property taxes pay for our law enforcement, our firefighters, local roads, schools, and so much more. We know this. However, if one has to choose between staying in their home, affording rent, because rental prices are affected, as property taxes go up and landlords have to increase those also. Paying for food, buying pharmaceuticals, and so on, that's not a fair choice for people to have to make. Home ownership and property rights are a core tenet of who we are as Americans. All we need to do is go back through the history of this country to a time when Black people and people of color, Native Americans, weren't allowed to own property. And when we came out of that horrible time in our history, what we found is that people didn't own property, and property equals wealth where we are. So it's a big deal if people can't do that. I understand that if we cut property taxes, we may need to look at other ways to fund our community necessities, and I'm committed to helping to do that. I'm happy to talk with anyone here more about your ideas. I have talked to so many people about that. I'm not on the House Budget Committee, but I talk with Representative Jeff Thompson all the time. We talk about taxes, budget cuts, what he's hearing, what I'm hearing, and thankfully he is on those summer and fall study committees. He's absolutely brilliant, and I'm grateful to be able to lean on him. So education is the other big topic that could take all night, so I'll speak briefly. As many of you know, the Department of Education has been working on new diploma guidelines. So I'm going to cut to the chase. Basically, the way I explain it to people is that if a teacher gave your child an assignment to write a paper and they said, you're going to go write a paper, you're going to come back and we're going to edit that paper. Then you're going to rewrite that paper, we're going to edit again, and then you're going to write the final draft. That is exactly what has happened with these diplomas. The legislature has not been involved in writing these. The great thing is that it's in our statute that the Department of Education has to take public comments. They got over 8,000 comments on the first draft. They wrote a second draft that is now supported by every president of every public and private university in the state of Indiana, our Superintendent Association.
Thank you so much, Becky. I appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you go ahead and lower your mic just a little bit. You're getting a little reverb. Thank you. Tiffany, you have 3 minutes to answer the questions.
Thank you. The issue of women's health is deeply important to me because out of my 4 children were conceived with IVF, and I will forever be grateful for that medical intervention. I will strongly advocate for Hoosiers to have the medical freedom that they deserve, which includes the right to make their own healthcare decisions along with their doctors and their faith leaders. These decisions belong within families, not the 150 legislators that sit under the state capitol building. As your representative, I firmly believe it's not my role to impart my values or make these deeply personal decisions for you or your loved ones. I will never support legislation that puts the health and the lives of women at risk. My opponent has publicly stated that she is 100% pro-life, at conception, no exceptions for rape or incest, and to me, given the challenges that I have had, that is unacceptable and a blatant of government overreach. Now on to question 2 about the voucher program. It originally was designed to provide low-income children whose families made less than $40,000 in underperforming schools to have the access to quality education. But it has since evolved into more than just a government handout for wealthy families that were already sending their children to private schools. Next year, Hoosier families who make almost $250,000 will be eligible for vouchers. And since 2017, Hendricks County has lost $34 million out of their budget due to the voucher program. They are responsible for still maintaining the facilities, offering special education services and sports and extracurricular activities that our kids so love. This has gone too far, and the supermajority at the State House is now pushing to extend that same level of funding to homeschoolers. Like many of you, I chose this area because of the public school systems. I am proud that my 4 children have gone through the public schools, but I am deeply concerned that we are systematically eroding our vibrant communities because of this. If we truly care about fiscal responsibility, which I do, then we are not okay with our taxes in Indiana taking public funds and putting them into private schools with absolutely no oversight. In the 3rd question, I recently had the opportunity to meet with the director of Sheltering Wings in Hendricks County. This is an amazing organization that provides emergency housing and support services for women, children, and men who are escaping domestic violence. Strengthening the penalties for domestic violence is challenging because many abusers never go to prosecution or even get reported. Some of you in this room might know someone, a victim of abuse. They often fear the economic barriers and they keep.
Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So now for closing comments. Tiffany, you will start us off with your closing comments. You have 2 to 3 minutes. At the 2-minute mark, I will wave, and you have 1 more minute to make statements. And then, Becky, you will follow with your closing comments. Tiffany, when you are ready.
Okay. During this campaign, I have consistently met with leaders outside of my party so that I'm not surrounded by an echo chamber and people that think just like me. I am becoming well aware of the issues on all sides. Hoosiers tell me they want a reasonable voice to represent them in the State House, not someone that chases conspiracies. They want sensible leaders who respond to their constituents' needs. We need to bring balance back to this State House where we have had a supermajority since 2012. Even the prior governor, Governor Mitch Daniels, said in an op-ed recently, the supermajority is not serving Hoosiers well. It isn't healthy for one party to make all of the laws for this Hoosiers in here. It's not balance. Indiana is certainly at a crossroads with public education. The decisions we make now will impact students for years to come, and it's critical that we value the outcomes of our children. In 55 days, we all have a part to play in this election. And it's decided by the people that show up, just like you tonight. You have a binary choice. You have been granted a snapshot tonight between myself and my opponent. I will protect public school dollars instead of subsidizing private school education. I will protect the right for women to choose what to do with their body. I have a proposal to reduce gas tax for you, and I'll vote for a pay freeze for legislators. My opponent voted to raise the gas tax and her own salary. After this forum, please do further research on the candidates that you've learned about tonight. Go to the polls well-informed. It's the best thing that we can do in our civic duty. Your voice in this election is absolutely critical. I appreciate your time tonight. I ask for your vote. Please contact me through tiffanystoner.com or come to my office hours. We have opened up a headquarters at Elevate at Brownsburg. We are there often. I'd be more than glad to meet with you. And I'll leave you this one thing. I sleep with a Republican every night and have for 28 years. If we can have constructive debate underneath the home, the ceiling of our home, then certainly I can do that at the State House.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. Becky, you have 2 to 3 minutes for your closing remark. At the 2-minute mark, I will raise my hand so that you know you have 1 minute left when you're ready to begin.
I like to focus on what I'm going to do. I don't have time to rebut some of the things that were said. I ask you to go to my website at Becky Cash for Indiana, that's FOR, not the number 4, BeckyCashForIndiana.com, to actually see what my positions on topics are, especially women's health care. So I do want to talk about school choice. As I shared earlier, I have 6 children, ages 12 to 24. 2 of my children have graduated from local public schools. 1 is graduated from an online public charter. Yes, she did graduate, not 6% passing rate because of serious health needs. Some of them have attended parochial elementary schools, and some of them have been homeschooled. We've done it all. Not one of my children has received any voucher money. However, I do support the right of parents to make the educational decisions that are best for their children. And I don't think that a parent's ability to do that should be based on their zip code or their income or what their salary is. There's also a misunderstanding that money is being taken from public schools in order to give money for vouchers. That is absolutely not true. The money for vouchers is coming from the general budget. It's not coming from public education. I have met with our superintendents in the last 2 weeks, our chief financial operators. I have asked them over and over again if that money for the kids not attending public schools would be going to public schools, or if it went to public schools before vouchers started under Mitch Daniels, and they have told me no, that is not true. So I do ask you to reach that. research that. As a mother of children with special and medical needs, I ran for office because I heard over and over again that families and parents didn't feel that they were represented at the State House. So I was asked by many people, by some organizations to run. I thought they were crazy. I said, no way. My husband said, go for it. I ran. It's been an honor and a blessing to represent the people of this district in House District 25. I ask you to go to my website to fact check some things.
Thank you both to Tiffany Stoner and Becky Cash, who will be running for election for State Representative District 25. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Tonight, the final candidates we will be hearing from are running for State Representative District 28, Karen Whitney and Jeff Thompson. Karen will start by opening us up with her opening comments. Karen, you have 1 minute.
Thanks, Jana. Thanks and a big shout out to our sponsors tonight. I also got to get a big thanks to Team Whitney. Make some noise, Team Whitney. Woo! I am a badly retired college president because I can't keep working and doing things in service to my community. Since many of you are learning about me for the first time, I'm on LinkedIn. Who isn't? So look me up. Just to give you a snapshot, I have a bachelor's and master's from the University of Houston, bachelor's in psychology, master's in public administration, where I studied economics and finance. I have a PhD from the University of Texas at Austin, where I got it in higher education administration. I have been a lifelong public educator in higher education. I'm proud of that over 40 years that I've served as an educator, leader, and administrator. I've managed budgets of up to $1.2 billion, impacting 110,000 students over 14 universities. Let me take a breath. Okay. Woo! All right. I've served closer to home here. I've served as a vice chancellor for student life at IUPUI for 11 years before bouncing off to be a college president, both in Pennsylvania and then during COVID, because I didn't have anything else to do. I was president at University of Illinois Springfield. So here I am, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Karen. Jeff, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. I, too, would like to thank the sponsors, the Republican and the Hendricks County Community Foundation, for putting this on this evening. Some of you in here might know me as Mr. T. And because if you're a former student, I spent over 30 years teaching physics and chemistry and math at Danville Community High School. And if I wasn't in this position, I would still be there, is my contention. Also spent 20 years co-managing the family farm right after college, and actually have baled hay in more than half of the townships in this county. And then also have spent the past 15 years on the board of directors of the North Salem State Bank. And I always tell folks, being on the bank board really makes you a better legislator, and being a legislator makes you a better bank board member. And so have served my community in multiple ways. It's on the website. And again, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, Karen, you were provided with the questions prior to tonight. You have 3 minutes to answer those questions or to speak passionately about something that is a platform you are running on.
Sure,
you have
thanks.
3 minutes now.
Thank you. First question was around health care and access to health care. Let me be very clear, that's one of the major reasons I've chosen to run, because I believe, and there's flyers in the back if you want to hear more about it, that health care is an issue that this state has just gotten so wrong. I believe that we need to look at health care, smart government, jobs, education. Let me go into smart government. It's been mentioned before. Our government is out of balance. We've had a ruling party of one party, and I would say this if it wasn't, and it's in Indiana now, it's the Republican Party has ruled state government for decades. I would say and have this concern if it was a Democrat ruling. I don't believe in one party rule. I believe in a democratic process where you have multiple parties coming together with multiple perspectives and often common interests, and we need to approach them with that diversity, real diversity of thought. And we lack that here. That is why I can tell you around healthcare we have gotten so wrong. The question was about to what extent do I trust women to be able to decide their healthcare? Actually, I trust all of us to decide our healthcare. Every single one of us in this room. I trust that parents should be able to decide the healthcare of their children in this room, and state government has gotten out of their lane and we need to put them back in their lane. When I go see my doctor, I want to go in to deal with full health care, not some health care. Right now, women are not getting full health care. I was talking to a mom in Danville who is so distraught because her daughter's getting an MD degree from IU this May. And she says, Mom, I'm an OBGYN and I cannot stay in this state because I cannot be the OBGYN I need to be for my clients. I have to leave, and the mom is just devastated. That is wrong. I know I've just met my opponent here this evening. He seems like a nice fellow. He probably couldn't have intended for that doctor to want to leave the state. I think the laws that have come in have unintended consequences, and we need to repeal them and repair them. I'm about smart government. We can't have one-party rule. I believe in term limits. I appreciate the decades of service my opponent has given. He could have done probably a lot of other things, and he decided to serve us. I commit now that if you elect me, I will not serve more than 8 years. I will work toward term limits in the state. I will work toward citizen initiatives to be able to be brought forward. We have professionalized our legislature, and that is not what the Constitution intended. Read it. Citizen legislature, not full-time professional career politicians. Now that's the root of being out of balance. We can talk about specific issues, but the systemic problem is we're out of balance. Once we get in balance, then we can better deal with these particular issues of healthcare, of employment, of school diplomas, vouchers. I read the Constitution. The schools are in the Constitution. I can tell you right now what's a no-brainer to Karen Whitney. Do what the Constitution says. Fully fund the community school districts, and then look at vouchers. Okay? I'm not against it. I just think we've got our priorities
Karen, thank you
mixed
so
up.
much for your comments. Your
You're
time is
welcome.
up. Jeff, you have 3 minutes to answer your questions.
Well, I have here 5 pages of what's good about Indiana. And I'm not going to read those to you. But the first one, number 1, happens to be, I think, one of the most important things and really translates to a whole lot of the others. Indiana now has, for 7 straight budget cycles, had a structurally balanced budget. And that is absolutely key in what that causes, because a whole lot of the other things on this paper are tied to that. And serving as House Ways and Means Chairman, I can tell you right now, I can guarantee you one thing, that if I'm reelected, that you'll have 8 consecutive. It will be structurally balanced. Indiana is one of the strongest fiscal states in the country. And I might just mention a few of the other things out of our rankings that we have. In the Midwest, Indiana ranks first in the Midwest and 6th in the nation in chief executive officers, red states or top states to do business in. Indiana also is 5th in the cost of doing business and 5th in the cost of living. Kind of interesting stat, isn't it? Indiana also ranks, it's the best state to start a business. And I could go on and on with several others. And I want to mention another, I didn't read that one. It's our pension liability. The pension liability in this state, the data I've got is we're number 2 in the country, being the lowest. We're headed towards number 1. And in 2030, there will be no unfunded liability. That is crucial on why businesses and people are flocking. They're literally flocking here. They're coming from other states. I've been in the northwest part of the state. They're coming out of Chicago across the line because they want to live here. It's a low-tax state, a great place to do business, and great opportunities for young people to be very successful. That's why people are coming to this state, and they're leaving the blue states and moving to red states. That's a nationwide phenomenon. We have the data. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, for closing remarks, Jeff, you will be starting us off with your closing remarks. You have 3 minutes. At the 2-minute mark, I will raise my hand to let you know you have 1 more minute for your closing statements. And then after that, we will hear from Karen.
Thank you. You know, some might ask that I had the data and I could, like I say, could talk for several minutes on how we rank, but you know what? we're not number one in everything. Some were 4, some were 5th. And my goal is number 1 in every single one of those. Be the best. So if we're not number 1, we want to always keep improving. The one topic that does come up is property taxes. And I can tell you every single penny of property taxes goes to local government, not the state. It's all strictly local. And a couple things we can do. One, I think, is the assessment system. A lot of discussion behind the scenes on the assessment system, how we might improve that. And the other is, do we have more rate controls? That's kind of in the weeds, but I think at some point we may have to have more rate controls. You know, Indiana is a great state of opportunity. And my wife and I, we've been married now for nearly 31 years, have 6 children, ages 20 to 30. And they are all in the state. Matter of fact, we've got a 4th grandchild born yesterday. So it's been kind of a happy time. But it's a great place for young people to get a job opportunity. We have low unemployment. And we're a state that does manufacturing extremely well. And that's why we're seeing record amounts of investment in this state. And I intend to be a part of a legislature that pushes us forward and continues to improve, always with the goal of being number 1 in the country. Again, thank you for being here. Look forward to any questions back at the booth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate that. Karen, you have 3 minutes to make your closing statements.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this opportunity this evening. In terms of budget, and I do applaud my opponent's judicious work on balancing a budget and ensuring fiscal integrity. As a college president and a system head that was in charge of 14 universities, I certainly know the importance of fiscal accountability and financial stewardship. I also know that I put people ahead of the numbers and the figures, and we have to look at the strategic way we spend our money, not to just spend it or save it, but how does it impact the lives of people. I am, again, this is an area I do have expertise in public finance and economics. I am extraordinarily concerned about this expansive effort around vouchers, and that it could bust our budget and destroy your decades of good work, sir. I am concerned that in this rush to fund and to give people, and they use words like choice. These are not choices. We have constitutional obligations to our public schools. And we must do that in a fiscally responsible manner. That to me is a no-brainer. It will bust our budget. Arizona is in that play now. We are on a brink of financial disaster that could be more epic than how stunned I was about the almost $1 billion overrun of FSSA this last year. I am glad for your fiscal stewardship that we were able to cover it, but that should not be occurring. So let me get back to smart government. Again, term limits, citizen-led initiative, putting the democratic process back into this state is vital to coming together to solve our problems. Because there's a ranking that your question you gave to me that I hadn't thought about yet around domestic violence. You know what our ranking is Indiana? We are the 5th worst percentage of this domestic violence in this state. That is not a ranking I can be proud of. I was awestruck by that. I have to admit my ignorance on that. 43% of the women in this state have said that they have been victims of domestic violence. 43%. That is unacceptable. That is a systemic problem that has a root not just with the legislature and laws, but through agencies and multiple governments. It is systemic. Like our issues with drugs are systemic. Our issues around education, our graduation rates from high school, our graduation participation rate in college is less than it was 26 years ago when my opponent took office. The median household income 26 years ago in 1998 was above the median average of this country. We are now 10% below the average. So I applaud and I appreciate the positive statistics you bring, but they are not fully reflective of everybody's lives in the district that I'm getting to know. We are here. I believe in health care. I trust people and the decisions they make. I believe in education. Recent legislation is criminalizing healthcare professionals. It's criminalizing teachers and librarians. They don't only just deserve competitive salaries, they deserve our support. They deserve. I have conferred degrees to teachers and librarians and healthcare professionals. I personally know how hard they've worked to get licensed and certified. They deserve
Karen, thank
our
you so much
respect.
for your comments. Your time
Thank
is
you.
up.
Thank you.
Thank you both to Karen Whitney and Jeff Thompson, who are running for State Representative District 28. I want to thank you all for coming out tonight, and mostly I want to thank our sponsors of tonight. It would not be possible without you feeling how and knowing the importance of our community, knowing who is running for political offices. So thank you to Hendricks County GOP, the Hendricks County Democrats, the Republican newspaper, and Hendricks County Community Foundation.